Okay, wait. So, but tell me about this. What happens? Have you ever met somebody who their communication style is different, kind of like me with this guy?
Hmm.
Or, I remember I had an ex that he when we first started talking, he would like text me all the time.
Mm.
Like, and I was like, ooh, I like really like this, and then I like kind of
Hmm.
ended up switching my communication because that's how he
Hmm.
was. And I really enjoyed it because he was like super funny and we had a great time, but then like this other guy that like the communication kind of slow, like was different. I was like, okay, this is cool. I like this. This is interesting. But I'm not very sure if maybe I would want to talk a little bit more or not. But I think that if it was a person like you, I just think it should always kind of be pretty simple, right? Like it should just
Hmm.
kind of work out. I mean, there's been plenty of times where I'm kind of getting to know a guy and I was like, hey, listen, like, I'm sorry, I'm about to go on the road for 3 weeks. I'll text you when I get back, and I do make it a
Hmm.
point. I'm not going
Yeah.
to ghost them, I'm just right now, I just want to go on the road and just kind of be present over there and not be on my phone. But I am, and if you want to talk a little bit more, then you can be like, hey, I really like if we talk a little bit more. But I
Yeah.
just always think that if, especially if you're going to do a long distance thing, it should just kind of be, I think it should just always kind of be simple. Or my sister and I have talked about, you kind of need to be with somebody who your communication styles are kind of similar,
Hmm.
in
Or
a
be willing
way.
to adapt a little bit. So if
Right.
one person's on the high frequency side of the spectrum and one person's on the lower frequency side of the spectrum, to think about how can you both be more at the center.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's too far away, maybe it's not the right situation. But I think I have had successful periods of communication with people who are not my style of communication. Like for
Okay.
example, right now, I'm not a huge texter, but to compensate for that, I will fire off voice notes when I don't
Okay.
feel like texting because podcasting, like I just much prefer talking or FaceTime. And I feel like it just gets. Sometimes I don't send a text because I think it'll be taken the wrong way because that person's not seeing me joking around or my inflection.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's nothing in a text to indicate how I want that to be received. So there have been times where I thought I was being clear in a text and I wasn't. And she's like, "What the fuck?" And I'm just like, um. But so I'll send
So what, you like
the
FaceTime? You like FaceTiming her?
I'll send like a voice note. Like I'll record an audio note of what I
Okay.
wanted to say to her if
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like texting. Like the girl I'm talking to now, we kind of I kind of started this thing as a joke to send her a Monday motivational voice note. And so now every Monday I'll just like think of something that's like half joking but half serious and
Oh, that's so
be
cool.
like, "Oh, I hope you have a great day. Like this is your motivational Monday."
No,
Cuz
where
I
do
just
I
don't feel like
subscribe to these motivational Monday?
yeah, maybe I should start a subscription and then she'll be like, "Wait, you've been sending this to 1,000 other people too? You mean this wasn't just for me?" I'll be like, "Sorry, babe. Gotta make the money. Gotta
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 run
pay
the
the bills."
business.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that I realize that I prefer a certain level of texting, but I can also communicate in other ways to let people know that I care. Like the voice notes. I love the voice note. I can press record on a text and talk for a minute and not think about it and it comes out how I want it to come out rather than kind of like me overthinking a text, which
Hmm.
happens a lot, kind of gets rid of that disconnect for me.
Yeah. Well, actually, it made me think. My sister and I actually had to have this talk because my sister, we have WhatsApp, Snapchat, texting, email sister, and then I was like, all right, we gotta divide what, like, if you got your nails done, you can tell me right away. If it's golf stuff, if it's important golf stuff, like, hey, you have an interview or something and I'm practicing, I'm gonna like not be able to focus on my practice anymore. So
Hmm.
we had to set up like a little system. But same thing, like we had to meet in the middle of the way. My sister, she likes to like she wants me to let her know all the like where I am all the time, especially because she's recording stats and all that for me, and I tend to just be, she doesn't hear from me, she's like, hey, where are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm in Alaska,
Yeah.
like, and she's like, what? So she's definitely been like, okay, we have to kind of like meet in the middle, and I'm like, hey, don't do this and this when I'm practicing or whatever. So now we have this amazing Google Doc, and I literally put everything, like Elsa, even just like a fun game. And so she knows not to call me during those 4 hours, or maybe she can, or like I have practice rounds. So it's like literally my whole life in there. So she can just look instead of calling me like in the middle of a tournament. So
That's amazing.
that's something that we it took like it took us like we just kept on like clashing until we finally figured it out. So I guess it's got to be the same way in relationships.
I like that a lot. Maybe you should turn Google Docs into some sort of app for dating too, instead of just the managerial relationship. Because like when you're updating a Google Doc, you don't get a notification, but you can put things in the doc when the
Hmm.
person checks the next time they go back. And
Right.
so I like that aspect of it, where if you have something important to say, but maybe you don't like getting all those notifications during the day, you can just drop it in the Google Doc and be like, "Hey, Applebee's tonight," and then like the person goes in and sees it, and they respond back. They're like, "Hell yeah! Like see you in an hour or whatever." And I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe
that would work.
some
Yeah,
dating Google Doc system.
it's something. I have a couple friends that travel obviously as much as we do, like on the staff side of the PGA, and we talk about like, if a guy's kind of like trying to take you out, but they're being kind of slow on setting something up, and you're like, hey, we need to go out on Friday at 6 p.m. because I'm about to leave for 3 weeks, like, or like,
Mhm.
but you don't want to be so like forward about it, but hey, if you don't get your chance now, you're never gonna get it because I'm gonna be gone. So it's really funny just because I like especially in the summer, I practice all evening till like 8 p.m. So if you're not penciled in, you're not getting you're not the day's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to be as direct as possible, because I have made the mistake of not planning ahead of time, where if I meet someone on a dating app, I'll send a couple messages and then say, "Okay, how about we grab drinks at this date at this time?" Because
I
I'm
love
so like
that.
routine and scheduled that I'm just
Yeah.
like, "All right, I want to know that something is on the books before I spend another, hour to 2 hours texting you or
Yeah.
FaceTiming you, whatever. Like, I want to
Yes.
know that we're actually going to meet up."
I find that so attractive. I love it when they're just like, now or tomorrow or whatever. I love that about guys when they do that. So keep up the good
Yeah,
work.
I will. I will. I'll I'll do my part. So something else that I wanted to get into is the mindset that you tap into on the course when you aren't playing like you want to be playing. Because at least for me, your A game in baseball, like your absolute A game, is like 10 to 20% of the time. Like once out of every five starts, you'll have like that, like, holy fuck, like every single thing clicked. And then the other starts will be like okay to good. So for you, where does your mind go on the course when you realize you're not having your absolute A game, but you still have to salvage the day and compete and work with what you have right now?
Hmm. Um, I think that I've gotten to this place where I see it as like a math equation. And it's the way my dad has always wanted me to approach the golf game because we are so swing based. My dad has always wanted me to really understand the golf swing. Never wanted to give me band-aid fixes. And so his vision has always been that if I'm on the golf course and I tend to lose it, I'm spinning out to the right or I just can't get in a groove, to just, be able to step back and just start going through all my notes. And we talk muscles, right? So, um, your right shoulder, and I just said muscle, like your lats and your obliques
Mhm.
and where are your biceps. And so the more I play professional golf, the more I can just kind of take the fact that I'm at a professional event and just go back to 2 plus 2 equals 4. And so when you're doing math, there's no emotion, right?
Mhm.
There's no like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. You have to read the instructions and then you start doing math. And that's how I've started to really, start to really play my game. And And that's always been the goal. But it's just, it took me so long, especially in college golf, because I always felt like I was like, okay, I need to play well, and I had to, I wanted to play well for my team, but then I was like, how do I detach from that and go back to like the basics? And
Yeah.
recently I've been able, if somebody was to look at my rounds, you can see that I'm doing well, and then I have a couple like tumble holes, and then I do well again. So I'm
Yeah.
able to regroup, and that's the reason why we want to play this, is because when you're at the U.S. Open or you're about to win, you need to be able to just keep doing 2 + 2 = 4.
Yeah.
So that's I would say that, to answer your question, I would say that it's not like I just get into this like zen and then I get out of it. It's just like, okay, I'm here to do a job, and this is what I'm going to do throughout. And sometimes you get excited or you're playing well, and then you just kind of you rely on tempo or something. And I'm like, no, 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 no. The reason why I had good tempo was because I was able to do that. And that actually
Hmm.
happened. I won a tournament individually in college, and I remember the first round I shot 78, and I just remember thinking, I'm out of the tournament. And I'm like, I'm not going to play well,
Hmm.
whatever. I just played bad. I'll just go back to what me and my dad were working on. And then I shot
Hmm.
68. There was a 36-day hole, so I shot 68.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And I remember 69 was the record at Richmond. And
Hmm.
I was so close, and I was like, okay, I think I just need like two more birdies to shoot the shoot the record. And
Hmm.
I just did it. There was nothing, there was no nerves or anything, because I was going like, you know, right foot, left foot, right. I just kind of kept on
Hmm.
going forward, and the nerves weren't really. I was like excited and nervous, but it was, like I said, it was just kind of like, just follow the instructions. And then the next day, of course, I was like in the lead, and I was super nervous, but I remembered that's what I did the day before. Just follow what me and my dad have worked. And I always have these like golf swing notes that I'm like reading, and I have my notebook, and I like read them before I play. And
Yeah.
then I just try to maintain.